Hey, everybody, it's Jeff here with the Money Trekker podcast, and I'm so excited today to share with you another of our best of episodes. And this will be a best of episode with my friend Gallico. He's, as he puts it, Gallico, one name just like Madonna. He doesn't look like Madonna, unfortunately, but uh, Gallico is the owner and founder of TopMac, which is a both computer as well as network security firm. Gallico is going to talk to us a little bit about security in the wonderful world of COVID and all of us working remotely. So this information is as important, I think, today as it was when we talked about this about a year ago in March of 2020. I think it's good to go back and watch this and to share some of that information that was happening at that time. And a lot of it hasn't changed. It's gotten only worse in some cases with cybersecurity and hacks and everything else. So stay tuned. We'll be right back in a minute. Hey, everybody, it's Jeff here once again with Entrepreneur Essentials 2.0. And today we're going to have a conversation with my friend Gallico from TopMac. Gallico is a cybersecurity expert, managed service provider for small businesses, and really one of the most knowledgeable people I know in this area to really focus on what we need to understand as small business owners right now, because a lot of our business has gone online, and that has caused lots of problems and potentially could cause a lot of problems for our businesses. So Gallico, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Jeff, for having me. I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad you're on here, my friend. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
So me personally, I've been doing IT for the past, I think I'm getting to my 24th, 25th year. It's a long time, yeah. Since the beginning of all the Apples and PCs, they had to press this tiny turbo button to get some CPU on that, and Minding and Pac-Man. Been all kind of various positions, anywhere from a tech all the way to lab managers, and then business operation manager for Apple resellers here in the United States. I work for big corporations like Apple, like Kodak as a sysadmin. So I came full scope of that. In the past 3 years, we started shifting into cybersecurity solutions as the world is becoming as a less safe place to be for businesses. So we put a lot of effort in cybersecurity and education these days.
Okay, awesome. So you originally are from Israel. How did you end up getting here to the United States?
Oh, I got smuggled in a tiny box. No, so I got a job offer here for one of the Apple resellers. That's an Apple subsidiary that works as an arm for an Apple that runs stores or service locations in the cities that are less than 1 million residents. So, you work under Apple umbrella, you service, you provide tech support, education for users. So I got a chance to work with one of these subsidiaries in College Station, Texas, where Texas A&M is located. Help develop the lab facility, the refurb unit, customer service, and in the end, just become the operation manager for the whole business.
Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about cybersecurity and the small business world. Our audience is people that are everything from, one single solopreneur to small businesses that might have, 10, 15, 20 employees. What are some of the challenges that you're seeing for small businesses as we've kind of shifted to this virtual online world in a very, very, very short period of time?
As we go and move more to the online presence, I said everything is moving to the cloud per se these days. I mean, there is pro and cons for that, of course, but we see few challenges. First of all, and the most important one is the employee education employees don't understand or don't know what is cybercrime and how does it look like and how it can affect the business. And it's a very huge thing that can literally bury the business down. We see a lot of cybercrime attacks and ransomware and phishing scams that happens, and employees just don't know how to handle that or what to do or what's the ramification for a business in case of a hit. Statistically speaking, a small business that's been hit by a cybercrime or ransomware attack, 71% of them goes under in 6 months after the first attack. So it's just mainly education, of course, employing the new tools, making sure that you're aware that this thing exists. Most employers don't even want to think about it. And of course, the cost that comes with that. We say that a small business needs to put between 5 to 8% of its annual revenue on IT services.
Absolutely. So what are some of the things that you do with your clients from the perspective of the education piece? Once again, I'm sure a bunch of your clients made a massive shift, to working from home. What are some of the things you're doing right now to help them to kind of alleviate and train their folks?
So we have a few platforms. We do our online seminars. We have one coming up next week. It's a separate seminar for like 2 hours. So they're break into in 1 hour and 1 hour. So we do a lot of online seminars to teach about what is cybercrime, how does it look like, and how it can affect your business. We do have paid seminars for employees themselves, for employers and employees, that we teach them exactly. We give them a real life example of like cybercrime, how it can affect the business, and some tips and tricks what to do and how to protect their work environment. We do a lot of videos about education. We try to secure people that work from home, like, hey, if you use a cloud environment, use a multi-factor authentication, use a VPN when you access your network, for example. Some good sanitizing procedures, want to call it like that, to when you work from home. Try not to mix and match if you use your personal computer, create a separate account for your business when you're going to use that. Don't try to use the same account that you have all your games and stuff running in the background, for example. So this is small tips and tricks that we give to our clients.
Mm-hmm. So let's kind of fast forward here. Today we're supposed to find out a little bit about what the reopening of the world is. I think it's going to be, it's certainly going to be staged. And I think, a lot of people have worked from home for now going on a month. I'm guessing, and I would anticipate this, that more and more people are going to be working remotely going forward, that they've proven that it could happen. What are some protections that, if a business hasn't really had this as part of their policy, they haven't had this as part of their business prior to this, and that might be the world we live in, what are some of the things that they need to be doing, today going forward to really help get their business I guess a little bit more virtual, if that makes sense.
So the biggest thing we saw from workers that work from home is implementing a high security policies. So when you work in your company, you have an advanced firewall and protection of the umbrella of your company network. But when you are at home, most people use their Spectrum, Coax, whoever is their vendor, and there is literally no protection over there. So companies need to start deploying and enforcing their security policies. Hey, you work from home, just having an antivirus is not enough. You need to have a cyber ransomware protection on your machine, advanced end user protection, some network monitoring, and of course VPN procedures, a good backup and encryption on their machine. Make sure that nothing can get into their computers. So because a computer that's been hacked can literally infect the rest of the network employees when the first one gets hit.
Okay. So are you, from that perspective, when you're talking with business owners, are you recommending, is there a hardware solution that they need to be providing that kind of is going out, to all the employees that are working from home? Or are you tending to go more towards the VPN direction where it's like, okay, just, you're going to sign in through your VPN so that we can kind of control what's going on?
I want to say it's a multi-layered solution. So again, deploying like different agents, antivirus, ransomware protection, network monitoring. It's also depending on the business, how it works. Like if most of the stuff is on the cloud, the cloud and you can use like their own VPN server, is if most of the resources are still under a server in the company. So usually these companies like that will have a very robust firewall that will have a VPN server running on that, so the end users can VPN into this server and then in a secure environment.
And I'm sure there's some folks out in our audience that don't understand really what a VPN is. So could you kind of just quickly give
Absolutely.
a non-technical version of that?
So I think it's like a VPN, it's called a virtual private network. So when you, let's say, surf on the web, I'll give you an example. Let's say, think of like the internet is like a 4-lane highway, right? And then VPN is like specifically like a toll road just for you that nobody else can access except you. It's protect your data while in transmit between your company, your cloud, or wherever you do, but it's only for you and your employees. Nobody can access that. It prevents attacks like man in the middle. It's a very, very secure way. There is a few ways to run it. You can run it on your own servers or firewall in the company, or you can outsource some very good companies that are on the web that do that.
And, let's say we've got our solopreneurs once again, who everything kind of frees up and they actually get out there to the restaurants and coffee shops again. I know this answer because you and I have had this discussion, but you would recommend having that regardless. I mean, whether you're working from home or certainly if you're working from a coffee shop, correct?
Of course. So we tell all our clients, like the moment you leave the office, doesn't matter where you go, from home, especially coffee shops, any public place that is not your natural environment, you have to use a VPN. We saw so many of our clients that having issues, or like we hear stories about clients get compromised in coffee shops, even like in luxurious hotel that like in a Sheraton, or like we hear stories in Las Vegas, people like sit in a hotel and using their public Wi-Fi and their account get hacked. You think about like everybody wants your information. Your way is like, you must protect it whatever you can. The moment you leave the office, you have to use a VPN, especially if it's a working computer, your work computer, it's not your personal one, you must use a VPN. But public spaces are notorious for people trying to fish the information out.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question, because a lot of times, I've seen a lot, and I've seen a couple of your seminars talking about, cyber insurance, whether it's a separate policy or whether it is, part of your property and casualty for your business. Cyber insurance, if you could kind of explain a little bit about that, but also explain the fact that just because you have that, if you don't do some of these measures, it may or may not even pay for it.
So cyber insurance, that's evolved over the past 2 years. The industry caught up, and actually it's become an enormous industry right now, and it's a very important one. So it's very different from your business owner policy or your errors and omissions. That's a completely standalone policy that cover your business in case of cyber crime. It will cover your overhead in case you are downtime. So I'll give you an example that we had with some clients that we offered them cybersecurity insurance to our agent. In case of a ransomware attack, your business goes down, like all the machines goes down. And most companies, insurance companies today, if there is a claim that is over $500,000 and it's actually a low amount for ransomware, they will send a forensic company to analyze the breach. These forensic companies usually charge anywhere from 100 grand to 250 grand just to analyze the breach. So the insurance company will pay for that. And then and they literally come and physically take all your computers. This is absolutely wild. They can walk into your company, 30, 50 employees, take everything you have over there, leave it with just tables and chairs. And then 2 weeks later, they bring everything back. And this is where the IT department start to rebuild everything. There is no way to fix ransomware. You literally wipe everything and start from scratch. Infrastructure, network, servers, it takes time and effort. Usually people don't understand that the attack itself is not the big problem. It's like the recovery time. It's usually into the weeks and months. And this is where most businesses don't understand, like, oh, I can be down for 2 days. It's not 2 days. Like we had an example here for, so here is our insurance lady gave us a story. She had one of her clients, it's a 15 users business that got hit by ransomware and decided to use their cybersecurity insurance. So the ransomware was more than $500,000. The insurance company called for a forensic company. They literally walked in the office, took everybody's laptop, desktop, servers, completely left them naked without anything. The business owner, of course, was not prepared for that. He had to run to get 3 laptops just to keep the business afloat. It took the forensic company 2 weeks to finish the analyze and bring back the computers. It took another 10 days for the IT department to rebuild the whole infrastructure. He was down for 3.5 weeks. His insurance company paid most of the stuff, but he said he was still out of pocket for another $1.5 million of lost revenue, and he couldn't do anything. Said he was down for 3.5 weeks, and this is a small company, right? And I mean, the insurance will pay for most of the stuff, but again, like, you still have to pay salaries. That, like, they come take your computers for 2 weeks. You still have to pay your employees' salaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and the insurance company isn't going to pay until they get the final bills on everything.
Exactly.
So yeah,
and we see more and more cases when the insurance companies, like, when they come, you have a claim, the first thing they ask you is like, what kind of good measures have you taken to protect your business? And another story that we heard from our insurance agent, some people, oh, I just have a good antivirus, and they decline the claim on the spot. They don't even blink about it. They said, you need to show us, like, what kind of software you taken, your reports, network monitoring. They decline more claims today based on business not trying to take a good effort to protect their business. This antivirus thing is like, that's pretty much nothing these days.
yeah.
They want to see that you're taking effort to protect your business and your asset. If you're not doing that, they're not going to just pull like $500,000 or $1 million or $2 million just for ransomware because you think you have a good insurance policy.
Yeah, and that's where I was really getting at is, yes, you can have the insurance, that's great, but this is an example of where you really need to work with somebody like yourself that can come in, set up policies and procedures, make sure all the potential problems are there. And yes, if you do get hacked, at least you've got the coverage. Yep. But the idea is not, it's like having car insurance and then going out there and drag racing every day. I mean, you're not going to get covered because you're doing risky behavior.
So another nice thing to think is, like, when you apply for cybersecurity insurance, they will audit your company, ask you a lot of questions. Like TopMac IT Solutions, actually, we beefed up our cybersecurity insurance like a few months ago.
Okay.
And because we're MSP, managed service provider, we've been scrutinized. We've been audited for like the past 3 months. We actually just got approved like 2 weeks ago, and we started the process in January. So when you apply for that, it's also giving you like a inner perspective, like, oh, I need to do all this stuff, because the insurance company will ask you gazillion questions. You might get anywhere from like 4 pages to 70 pages documents. Who is doing your cybersecurity audits? What's your insurance? How do you protect your asset? How often you check your backup? So it gives you like an inner perspective, like, I need to do all this stuff. That's like the way to look at that also, as like, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, let's take a break here for our sponsors. And when we come back, Gallico is going to talk with us a little bit about his strategy right now during the COVID-19 shutdown, and his strategy, as we come out of it, what his next 6 months look like in his business. So we'll go to our sponsors. We'll be back in just a minute. Okay, good. So we'll leave a little space in here so I can edit, and then we'll come right back. It's good stuff, man. That was fantastic. So thank you.
The horror stories that we hear these days. Like, we just got approved for cybersecurity insurance. We had to go. Here's a funny story, Jeff. I applied to 7 companies to get in cybersecurity insurance for us. Like 4 of them, the moment I said MSP is like,
oh no.
Like, you are literally like the hottest potato in the market. I'm like, no. 3 of them, I went, scrutinized me, like my policies, everything had to go. And then eventually I found one through Lloyd's in UK, so the company here. Okay. And I said, we just got approved like 2 weeks ago, and we started this process in January.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
And you guys are experts in cybersecurity.
Yeah. So I mean, we got, I think it was like 20 pages documents to fill up, like how often we audit ourselves, like how do we back up our stuff? Is our backup is encryption? Do we have any client information that someone can access? Do you like enable 2-factor authentication, like your email, like all kind of like, I'm like, oh my God, I need to make sure I have this inside. So again, it gave me a chance to like, like look at our policies. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's something I need to do, for example.
Well, I guess the good part is you went through that process, so you can kind of leverage that into your business to say, okay, well, this is what it's going to take. Yeah.
You'll be surprised how many businesses, like, I'll tell you a funny story. Like, I lost a client in January that use our network services. So they're very similar. So they just pay for the network monitoring.
Okay.
So we came back to our clients and like, hey, part of our insurance claim is like, if we monitor your network, you need to sign a legal waiver that in case that, because they don't use any kind of cybersecurity measures whatsoever, like literally nothing. They just use the Windows, Microsoft antivirus. That's it.
Oh, Jesus.
We said, I need you to sign this legal waiver that in case of a breach, you can't sue us or your insurance company can come after us. And they said, we can't sign this. I'm like, this is like open us for claims. I'm like, exactly. I'm an IT company. If you don't want to deploy any kind of measures, then like the first thing that your insurance company will say is like, hey, who is your IT guy or who is your IT company? And they will ask us for the logs or everything. I'm like, they don't do anything. I'm like, I need to cover myself, part of my insurance. And they said, we can't sign that. I'm like, in this case, unfortunately, I have to say goodbye. And they're
See
like,
ya.
I mean, no, it was bad for them. I mean, again, they do video games. And I'm like, guys, you are like hot potato. And like,
well, yeah, you're the one that people are coming after, that are going to.
It is what it is. I mean, most clients sign on that and that there's no problems.
Yeah.
If they're under contract, we cover them under the contract. But some new clients, I'm like, listen, you sign that. And the good thing is like, when they see that, I'm like, let me talk to my insurance agent. And then like, is this like errors and omissions? I'm like, no, that's a complete cybersecurity insurance. And it costs a small fortune. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
People are like, oh my God, it's expensive. The scrutiny. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot more expensive if you have a claim.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. So you probably heard that. So there was, this is a story I tell the time. So this company, it's a Danish company that makes like hearing devices for like one of the biggest one in the world. And they're got hit by ransomware. And so they decided not to pay. They had a good backup and everything. But they didn't disclose the amount of the ransomware. But they said, the CFO said that a month after the attack, they're still rebuilding their infrastructure. They're not done yet. And they already spent $95 million in rebuilding the infrastructures. They said like, I wasn't sure if it's going to be worth maybe like paying the ransomware, but I said that now at least we go over our policies and everything. It's the recovery is absolutely.
Well, it's I mean, you don't think about it, but it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're having to rebuild your entire network, I mean, that is insane. And every computer and
server, it takes forever. Yeah. And so the bigger the company, the more complex they are. It's absolutely wild, and there is no. So I mean, there is ways to protect yourself, and it's pretty crazy.
That's nuts. Okay, well, let's jump back to the interview. Hey, everybody, we're back. It's Jeff here once again with Entrepreneur Essentials 2.0 and Gallico. We're going to talk a little bit about his plan of attack here during the shutdown, what he's got going on, and then what his plan of attack is going to be in the next couple weeks as we come out of this and start to get back into the world where we can actually go out and do business. So, Gallico, you're on deck. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now and then what you'll be doing as we come out of this.
So part of the COVID-19, everybody is like bunkering at home. So we put a lot of emphasis on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. We put a lot of information almost on a daily basis, how to be safe, what to do, some measures. We put in the first month, we put a lot of articles about Zoom cybersecurity, how to protect your meeting. We got a crazy amount of kudos from chambers and big companies like, oh, we didn't know that. I'm like, you're welcome. So it's a lot about education, how to educate your end users. Like, hey, you work from home. How do you protect your Zoom meeting? Again, what to use. We put a lot of tips and tricks every day. We're doing now once a week a video about subjects. We did one, so it's every Tuesday. The last one we did is about backup. For example, like how not to use Dropbox or OneDrive or Google Drive as a backup because it's not a backup solutions. We talk about password managers. So every week it's a different subject. It's a lot about education. Now we're just dumping information, free information on the web so people can understand, read, educate themselves. So we are started doing our cybersecurity seminars online. We moved them from hotel venues to online. It's hard to do 3 hours online. So we try to squeeze it into like 2 sessions of 1 hour every time so people can have a chance to ask some questions. And of course, again, when we can go back to out in the public, again, do public speaking. We have some venues that we need to speak. The Texas Law Bar. We're supposed to speak over there and do some speaking engagement. Hopefully we can do it again.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's, I think that's definitely how we move forward. Let me ask you this: do you think you'll still continue to do some online as a result of some of this, what you've been kind of forced to do? Do you think you'll continue to do something online?
So here's the thing: doing like recording a video is pretty terrifying. I have to say, like, you know, you're standing in front of the camera and like, oh my God, do I speak too fast? My accent, like, do I blink? Do I look at the camera? So after a few practices, I want to say that I like it. It's nice. So we started doing, like I said, now we do it once a week, a video. We're probably going to do more. We open our YouTube channel for us. That's nice. That's new. So depending how the seminars will go on, we'll probably do more seminars and videos. Again, I need to get more comfortable in front of the camera. I'm going to say it this way.
Yeah, I think it's just repetition on that. I can relate because I'm not comfortable on camera and you know, even on interviews, but I think it's just repetition the more you do it. But I even in my world, I've started to do more trainings online where I was doing them in person for digital marketing because, you know, we live in Austin and people don't like to drive more than 5 to 10 miles anyhow. Yeah. So you increase your audience as a result.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about what you've got new in your business, anything that you're working on, anything that is kind of coming out during this year.
So we started deploying in late December. We started deploying our cybersecurity solutions for our small clients. So in the past, you were not able to buy like very good cybersecurity solutions unless you're like a big business. Like the basic package was around $1.5 million to. So now we are able to break it down to our small clients. So we offer them that. We started doing a heavy assessment, a risk assessment for every new client. Some of them are paid, some of them are not, but we literally deep dive into the business and look for the loopholes and the open ports. And like we try to do phishing scams on the employees, on the CEOs. We give them risk assessment. We give them like a number, like what's your loss when it comes to money, like in case your business get attacked, like here's how much you can lose in case of cyber attack. So we do a lot of effort in reporting, and this risk assessment usually takes around a month. And we do a full presentation and give the reports to the owners of the business. So it gives them like a wide perspective of their business weaknesses, for example.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. I mean, that sounds like it couldn't have been a better timing to start rolling that out.
Yep.
I think, you know, you're going to see a lot more cyber attacks in this wonderful world that we live in today. Yep. So tell me, how does somebody get a hold of you if they've got some questions or want to engage you in a conversation about their business?
There is multiple ways to get us. First of all, they know you, so they can reach out to you. We have our website, www.topmac.guru. Yes, we are a guru. We are very active on Facebook and LinkedIn. You can reach us over there via Facebook Messenger. You have via Google Business. We, of course, have our business. You can chat us through there. And, of course, to our phone, 512-827 and 8352. Let me see. I forgot my number. Oh, seriously. I just lost my number. Okay. It will come back to me in 5 seconds. Yeah. Sorry, this is our office number. I don't use it very often. I'm like, Yeah. Oh, and you can reach out me directly via 512-988-4224.
Excellent. Yeah. And it's also Gallico, Gallico at topmac.guru.
Yep.
If you want to email. So we'll have all of that in our show notes, folks. So if if you're listening to this on any of the podcast channels, look down below and you can see it in the show notes page. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, just look in the show notes page on YouTube and I'll have all the links to Gallico so that you can talk to him directly. Feel free to leave comments, questions in the comments sections. We monitor that every day, and I'll either be able to answer it for you, or I'll have Gallico answer it for you. So Gallico, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you coming on. This is very timely information. Folks, if you need somebody that is an expert in this area, I cannot recommend him more highly. Reach out to him and he can help you out.
Jeff, thank you very much for having me. I really feel honored to be in the show. I always love the shows very much.
All right, my friend. Well, you have a good day and you have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you very much and have a good day.